Hey everyone, it's Liz with The Hug Life in collaboration with Sweet Stamp Shop, and today we're gonna get those hips moving, we're gonna get our hair coiffed, we're gonna put on our rhinestone jumpsuit because we are bringing Elvis to the building using Burnin Love. This stamp set is so adorable and it really inspired me to go with a very glitzy Las Vegas feeling card. I have started off with some watercolor paper. I'm using the smooth side. I've already prepped the surface using an anti-static powder tool. And I'm using VersaFine Onyx Black pigment ink, as well as some clear embossing powder. And now I'm going to heat set this because I want to do some watercoloring. I put the image down using some painter's tape so the paper stays pretty flat. I'm using my Tombow dual brush markers and I'm going to pull that color using a paintbrush and some water. I love using these markers or these types of markers that are water soluble. It's really a great way to look like you know what you're doing with watercolors, even if you don't. I am still learning how to control my water and my paint and my brush. And so these markers make it really easy for me to make it look like I know what I'm doing. I've used the light blue to go ahead and shade both of their clothes. And at first I was like, oh, we should make Elvis kind of have a brown undertone. And then I used this black marker, but it comes out more like a bluey gray. But don't worry, we're gonna fix that in just a second. I am using a paint set from Michaels. I believe it was under $5. I wanted to use this set because it has a couple different flesh tone colors that I thought would work really well. And as you saw, some of the paint dripped down from his hair. He was having a bad hair day. I love when I laugh at my own jokes. And as you can see, like I just did right now, I use a dry paper towel to lift up that watercolor. In a second, yeah, you see, I'm gonna go ahead and give Elvis a orange tan on his chest. Terrible idea. Lift that up. If that happens to you, it's really easy. Even if the paint is kind of dried, if you saturate it with clean water, you can try to kind of reactivate the pigment and then lift it up with a paper towel again. I decided that the blue in her veil was too pale, so I went in with some more blue. And now I'm adding some golden highlights to her hair. I just thought the very primary yellow, I thought we could give her a little balayage, she needed a little oomph in the hair because as you'll soon see with the paper I've chosen for this card, she gonna wanna match the golden tones right there. I'm adding some shading for the face, and then in a second, I'm going to do something really silly and add pink to his cheeks because I thought it'd look really cute, but instead it really looks like he was either A, sunburned, B, very embarrassed, C, maybe he drank a little too much, or D, all of the above. But for some reason, it totally works on the lady. The lady looks adorable. And now I'm using the black to go ahead and make his hair look a little darker, but still keep that highlight and watercolor feel to it. Now I'm gonna go ahead and let that dry. Using my big kick, I have some American Crafts glitter paper in gold, and I'm using some wafer thin dies that are circular from Simon Says Stamp. They do have a stitched detail. In retrospect, I wish I'd done this a little differently, but we'll talk about that in a second. I cut some vellum to fit in the bottom bar, and I'm using the sentiment, Viva Happily Ever After. I love that sentiment. I'm using my Onyx Black pigment ink, putting some embossing powder on. Good job, Liz. We did not show that on camera. I'm gonna go ahead and heat set that. So I wanted to talk about if I were to redo this card, because to be honest, sometimes when I start filming, I have an idea of how I want to do the card, and then it changes and develops as I'm crafting. So this is one of those pre-made cards you can get from any craft store. It's a 4x6, and I put the circle down that I had cut out, basically the frame with the gold paper, and I laid the die down. I used a pencil and traced the circle so I knew where to put the die. Retrospect, I should have just totally glued the paper onto the card and then put the die down and cut both at the same time. That would be so much easier. So if you're gonna try to recreate something like this card, do that. Don't do what I did, because that was such a waste of time. As I was gluing this using my craft glue, I was like, Liz, why didn't you do that? Oh, make sure you tell the viewers to do that. Because then you won't have to do things like this, which is to paper trim and make sure that everything looks good. So I love how that looks. I'm folding the vellum to the back so that it lays flat. I'm using my Tombow, I think this is the mono-purpose glue. Yeah. And I'm just doing teeny tiny dots everywhere so that I can hide the adhesive behind the sentiment. And so I'm gonna plop that down. Again, good job, Liz. Way to show that correctly on camera. And now I'm using the Tombow glue to go ahead and get those little folds down so that the vellum stays nice and straight. Ta-da! So then I was like, perfect, I'm gonna have them peek out and it'll look so cute, but I felt like it was just not glamorous enough. So I'm using some painter's tape just to see if I like it. I do this a lot. I have a bunch of painter's tape and I like using it to kind of place things. So I liked how that looked. I traced the outline of where I wanted the circle to be using a pencil. Close the card up, put it down. Super glam, love it. I outlined where I wanted their cute little feet to be, and I'm gluing them down. And the placement, I wanted them to hold hands. So I'm putting her down first because her hand, you'll see in just a second. And I put an acrylic block down on her because she was kind of peeling up because of the glitter paper underneath her. But you'll see in a second what I'm gonna do. I'm going to go and sandwich his hand on top of her hand, but put his hair behind her hair. And then using the acrylic block and the magic of time, which I totally got, like I edited it out. I actually had that the block sit on there for about 5 minutes so it could dry. But then I was looking at the card and I was like, still, it's too basic, y'all. So I brought out my sequins. I talked about this in the Facebook live stream. I am such a sequin hoarder. I see sequins at like a dollar store and I have to have them. So these are all dollar store sequins. And now I'm using my Zig shimmer pen to add a little more fun shimmer times, and I just dried that using my heat tool. So everything looks fabulous. I feel like Elvis has definitely come into this card and been like, girlfriend, you did it. I also stamped the sentiment, inside, which also comes in the stamp set. As always, I will try to leave everything in the description bar down below. I hope you like this video. Again, my name is Liz. If you would like to see more really fun, sweet, amazing stamp sets, head on over to sweetstampshop.com. I will catch you later. Bye, guys!